This book will make you cry. If you are not ready, you will cry. Peace, 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 family. What's going on? You guys already know we are back. We're gonna dive straight into this video. So we got ourselves the Shadow Work Journal. Okay, Shadow Work Journal, second edition, a guide to integrate and transcend your shadows. Now, one thing I will say, this Shadow Work Journal, I'm gonna let you guys know if you should really get it. I keep it honest with you guys. I'm gonna let you guys know if you should really get it. Is it necessary to get a book for your shadow work when you can just journal and meditate and do it inside yourself? Is it necessary to get a book? Because this is like a guide. It's necessary to have this guide. It all depends on you. But at the end of this video, I will let you know if you guys do need to get this book, if it's necessary. So one of the first things before we get into this video, I will put timestamps. Also make sure to like this video because, help my brother out. So one thing I will say, we're going to go into what is shadow work first. All shadow work is integrating and finding those unknown parts of yourself, those parts of yourself that is triggering. We all got triggers within ourselves. We all got those triggers. Like, there's some parts of ourselves that if someone says or does or this or that, we're gonna go off on them, you know what I'm saying? Or we might not show it, but we're gonna go off. We're gonna get mad. So we all got that part of ourselves, and your Lilith sign and astrology tells you that part of yourself that gets triggered. So shadow work is identifying the triggers and also identifying traumatic events, because we've all been through a traumatic event in our past life, or even in the past, where we subconsciously secretly feel like it's going to happen again. And if you've been in a relationship and you've been cheated on or whatever happened, secretly, if you get into a new relationship, you low-key feel like it can happen again. This is how it is. Like, even though you might love that person, low-key, a secret part of yourself feels like it can happen again. So shadow work kind of lets you know, hey, you got to find that part of yourself. You got to identify, you have to embrace that part of yourself that is acting like that, and you have to gain that awareness, because when you get that energy, that shadow is going to hover over you. You have to gain that awareness to beat that shadow and embrace that shadow. So this can manifest not just in relationships, it can also manifest in things like a car accident. Let's say you've been in a car accident before. You feel like it can happen again because it's still there. That event didn't go nowhere forever. It's not going to go nowhere. It's always going to be there forever. So you got to always kind of like remember, hey, because if you don't, this is what's going to happen. Humans are naturally wired to gain PTSD, trauma, anxiety, fear, root chakra trauma from events that happen. So you can gain those type of things like PTSD and fear and root chakra trauma. And you do see this manifest. You do see this kind of happening a lot in the spiritual community. You see a lot of men and women beefing and trying to call people out, and it's crazy because they all got trauma. A lot of people in the community are unhealed, and the shadow work journey is like a step. It's like a golden certificate to us healing. All right, it's like a guide to humanity healing. So I am proud of this journal. I am proud of the person who made this journal, Cha Gung. We all have to understand that without shadow work, it's going to be hard to find your deepest, darkest aspects of yourself. And without knowing what you deeply really want, it will be hard for you to find your purpose. So you need to know those aspects of yourself so you can find your purpose. Finding your purpose is not just about seeing what you love, but seeing what you don't like. So okay, I don't like these type of women. Okay, I'm not going to even entertain these type of women. Did you know that you subconsciously attract women by what your subconscious mind is? So if you have abandonment wounds, you're naturally going to attract women who are unavailable. Simple like that. Same thing with women. If you have abandonment wounds, you're naturally going to attract men who are unavailable, emotionally unavailable, physically unavailable. It tells you in this book stresses on things like that. If you have guilt wounds, you're naturally going to be afraid to tell people your boundaries. You're going to feel guilty when you tell them, hey, I'm setting my boundaries. You're going to feel guilty. A lot of people have guilt wounds. I'm pretty sure 50% of the people watching this got a guilt wound. Like when you tell people, hey, I can't do this today. I don't want to do this video or this or that. You feel guilty. That's not good. That means you got a guilt wound from the past because you told people your boundaries and they got a little upset about it. And now you felt guilty. That's a guilt wound, bro. We ain't feeling no guilty in here. If we ain't doing it, we ain't doing it. You got to low-key be honesty. It has trust wounds. It tells you about, identifying the trust wounds. So it's like, if you have a trust wound, if you're afraid to be hurt, it tells you you know, that's a wound. If you're afraid to be hurt, bro, that's a wound. I don't care what no one says. You know what I'm saying? If you don't feel safe in relationships, if you are find ways not to trust people, like you always like thriving in ways to always find the deepest people's secrets, that means you got trust issues. So it tells you and identifies the wound. Another thing this book stresses on, it stresses on ways to find self-love, self-compassionate, self ways to heal yourself as well. So it will stress on eating meals, taking showers, physical hygiene, mental hygiene. It also stresses on when you are feeling these shadows upon yourself, it stresses to let you know that these aspects of yourself are just temporary. It's going to pass in like a few days, a few hours, a few minutes sometimes. Most of the times it passes in a few minutes. So if you're feeling bad, if you're feeling weird, it's going to pass in a few minutes. So it's only up to you to find something to do in that meantime. Like it stresses like to take a shower. It stresses to eat like a light meal that you love, play some music, go in nature, get some sun, meditate. Like anything that's like, a lot of us are going to go through moments throughout the days and times where we start getting angry and we start feeling like it's us versus the world. All you got to do in that moment is just find something to do that you love. That's all you have to do, and it's going to pass. It's not going to happen all day. You ain't going to be traumatized all day. You ain't gonna be in that moment all day. So you have to let that moment pass. You have to finesse that moment. You have to finesse that moment by doing something you love. So this book overall, the Shadow Work Journal, it also stresses on affirmations. Affirmations, you already know, is very, very important to rewire your mind, because the subconscious mind, like I was saying, I'm going to stress this, the subconscious mind is always recording. So whatever you've been through, everything is a mirror. It stresses on projections as well. So whatever you think about someone else, that's how you low-key think about yourself. If the way someone else talks, the way someone else does something, it's something you don't like about that person that you have in yourself. It's a fact. Like this is a mirror. This is a book that will trigger you. Like this book itself will trigger you. Like if you are not ready, it will trigger you. So be aware of this book. Be very aware. This book will make you cry. If you are not ready, you will cry. You will literally not no game. So it also talks about things such as it gives you exercises to do. It also talks about emotional triggers. And triggers, like I said, shadow work is basically identifying those triggers. Some triggers that it goes over is shame, guilt, anger, sadness, um, embarrassment, jealousy, regret, and fear. So if you have any of those triggers, which all of us do have at some extent because we're on a human vibration, so you already know you're no way you just be on 5D all day. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have the low days to get to the top. You know what I'm saying? So you have to identify those. This book also stresses on grounding, because in order to do this deep shadow work to find your deepest, darkest soul, you have to feel safe. You know, you have to ground. So if you don't feel safe, it ain't gonna work. And the first step to feeling safe is relaxation. The first step to relaxation is to feel safe. So you have to feel safe. You have to feel safe. You have to feel safe. Put your feet in the ground. Tell yourself, I am safe. You don't want to get this book and you got like, and you're just scared of everything. You know what I'm saying? Don't get this book and you're just in fear. It's not gonna work out in your highest favor. So always understand those type of things. Um, but overall, this book is gonna give you journal prompts. As you see, journal prompts. These are lots of powerful journal prompts. Another thing it stresses on. This book stresses the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. All right, the subconscious mind. I'm gonna stress this again. You are naturally attracting people by your subconscious mind. So if you subconsciously have abandonment issues, you're going to attract spouses who are unavailable. You subconsciously have trust issues, you're going to subconsciously attract people who not going to trust you. I don't know how the universe works, but just how it is, y'all. So you gotta go with the flow. You gotta go with the flow with this and learn. Like, yo, this is crazy. So yeah, man, this joint gotta be crazy. Like visualization, meditations, um wound mapping. You got to find the wounds. Like, you know, if you have a fear of being vulnerable, it literally says that's a neglected wound. You have a neglected wound. If you feel like you're gonna be neglected, so if you are afraid to open up to this woman or this goddess or this man or this god, that means you feel like you're gonna be neglected. So if this thing is crazy, if you have low self-worth, that's a neglect wound. You feel like you're going to be neglected because you've been neglected in the past by someone who was probably just not for you, and you feel like that can happen again, which is a wound. You know what I'm saying? This book is like, it's a guide, and like I said, you may not really need it if you feel like you can handle yourself by doing it in a journal, but it is a guide to help you make it easier, because on this spiritual journey, if you don't have a guide, a teacher, like I have, me myself, I do have teachers. I have spiritual teachers, like real women who are spiritually teaching me. I have teachers. If you don't have no teachers in your life, you're gonna go through the spiritual journey like lost, like low key need guidance, unless you yourself are a spiritual teacher. But you do need that higher guidance, that wiser person, because you know, we're not, there's always someone wiser than us. There's always someone we have to answer to. There's always someone wiser than us. So wisdom is key, and all wisdom is using your experience. We all have experience, but you got to use that experience. All right, if you know better, don't make the same mistake. So that's all wisdom is. And this book also is going to stress on unconscious ways to heal yourself. So, you know, shadow work journal, the back of it, I'll read the back. Unlock the power of self-discovery and inner transformation. That's what shadow work's going to do. Is going to help you to find your purpose, because the most strongest people on the planet, in my personal opinion, they're able to tap into both sides. I don't care what no one says. They're able to tap into the dark side and the light side. And all the dark side is, it's just the parts of yourself that you don't like. That's all it is. The parts of yourself that you're scared to tap into. They're able to tap into everything. That's all it is. So the Shadow Work Journal, Integrate and Transcend, second edition, through insightful prompts, exercises, and reflections. It's going to make you reflect. Regressions, like this Shadow Work Journal is like a baptism to your soul. It's going to literally baptize your soul, the real baptism. All right. It's going to baptize your soul. It's going to give your soul a nice regression cleansing, a deep, thorough cleansing. Very, very, very necessary. All right. You'll learn to develop self-awareness, cultivate self-love, acceptance, and find a deeper connection. This book also stresses on realizing your own human limitations, because you already know you're only a human, and like you're a soul in a human body. So there's only so many things you can do on this plane. Like you can't take over the world, bro. You can't get everyone to like you. You can't, like, you're a human, bro. You only got so much power. So it kind of helps you to realize, just be okay with being a human. Be okay with just being like a body, like, you know what I'm saying? Because you can't do everything you want to do, you know what I'm saying? So you have to kind of be humble. You have to kind of realize, hey, I could do what I'm in control of. But like, I got control of maybe about 20% of my life, I'll stay in control. But I can't control what my ex wants, what she's trying to do to me. I can't control if she's trying to get, I can't control this. I can't control that person doesn't like me. I can't, like, you can't control this type of thing. So this book stretches on like, hey, what do you like? What can you do? Can you love yourself? Can you do this? So it's really, really powerful. Us as human beings, we're naturally wired low-key to think negative. Research says our minds naturally think negative because it's just more fueling, it's more entertaining. You know, that's why gossip pages get a lot. But negative energy, this book will teach you that it's a fear thing. It's like a wound. Like if you're always thinking negative, that's a wound. You know what I'm saying? So you want to get that wound out of you, because it's not healthy. Breath work is also something it's going to also highlight, breath work. And overall, this book is something that I do recommend on this journey. If you're someone who's more advanced and you feel like you're higher up on your shadow work journey and you don't really need as much guidance, I don't think it's necessary to get, me personally. Like, I don't think it's necessary to get, because it's like you don't need it. You know what I'm saying? But if you do, if you're someone who's struggling, every day you wake up and you go through the day, and there's always something. It's always something you're going through. Like your subconscious mind starts beating you up. You going to war with yourself. You battling shadows. You battling demons. You got demons around you in your mind, bro. Get the book, bro. Just get the book, because you're gonna need it at this point. Because it even gives you love letter prompts. Like, you already know the right letters to yourself is very, very, very powerful, because you have future selves. You have parts of yourself in other dimensions. So it gives you all types of things to focus on. So yeah, jealousy wounds and all that. But besides that, YouTube, this is a short little video. If you guys do want more, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Peace. Love you.